Welcome, everybody, to the Three Chords and Some Lies podcast with me, Andy.
Myself, Jim. How you doing?
I'm very well, Jim. How are you?
Yeah, very well indeed. So you'll notice this week that you can see us.
We hope.
Hopefully, this is our first crack at it when we've actually gone out and bought some
equipment,
and software, and whatever we need to do from Amazon. And this is my very first attempt at doing this. So
it is. Bear with us.
And Andy's too. So let's see how we go.
Bear with us. Yeah, we've got proper looking stuff. It's sort of, I mean, they're not the Shure. Did you see the Shure mics? I mean, they're 350 quid.
Yeah, sure. This is good. I mean,
this would be fine.
Stairway to heaven here. I just need to get up.
Absolutely.
Voice down. So
absolutely, we need to do that. So I hope we've got guitars with us and everything as always.
Exactly.
We always feel the need to hold a guitar while we're talking. I don't know why.
Feel more comfortable. Some kind of comfort blanket.
It is a comfort blanket. It's an adult comfort blanket.
Yes.
So that's good. Now, this week we are talking at a perfunctory level about pedals, guitar pedals.
We are.
And it's just a general random chat about pedals.
Overview of them. So I've got some questions for you. I'm sure you've got some for me, and they'll sort of we'll make it sort of a bit of a general overview. And
absolutely
with Ryan from 58 Sound last week, and did a kind of a general overview with him. So we'll do a kind of a general overview about pedals. So
absolutely.
My question for you,
yeah,
Andy, is what was your first pedal?
My first pedal, you'd never guess this, but it was a delay pedal. I've still got it somewhere. I got a, because I wanted to learn why the streets had a name from U2, because I really got into U2 and really heavily in 1992 or 3.
Right.
And there was a guy that I was working with called Martin, who was a very good guitar player. And I said, I'm trying to do where the streets had a name. And he said, I think he uses a delay pedal. I was like, a delay pedal? Wow, what does that do? Cool, interesting. So I got one from one of the music shops here, and it was just a little box, and it had a battery in it, like a 9-volt battery. And I used to get through one playthrough of the song, and then the battery was like, nope.
Yeah, they don't like delay pedals.
They don't like, no pedals like batteries. If you're thinking about getting a pedal, anyone watching, do not use batteries with it because it's rubbish.
They do get it, particularly delay pedals.
Delay pedals.
It's a different story. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yes, absolutely. So what we did is I took that home, and I think it was a Dodd delay pedal.
Yeah.
And I worked out what the delay was just by listening to it, by hearing the ding, ding, that kind of noise with the delay. Yeah. And I wrote little sort of Chinograph marks all the way around the outside, so I could dial up the different tunes because they had different tempos and different, We'll do a deep dive with pedals one day. We will do that, but
yeah, we'll into various different sorts. But this is just a general overview of how we go.
And I found out only 2 or 3 years ago that's exactly what Edge used to do with his. When he had a Bono suggested he had an Echo, the Memory Man Echo unit.
Yeah,
and because it wasn't digital, like I've got my TC unit now, Edge did exactly the same thing. He wrote things on the thing and just turned around. So when he wanted to do, something, it was, dial that New Year's Day, we'll make it a bit longer. And that was that. And so I think that was my first pedal, was my trusty workhorse delay pedal. And what about yours?
Mine was an Ariel. I think it was Ibanez Tube Screamer, but it was the one. It wasn't the good green one that I should have bought.
Yeah,
back in the day, that I probably could have got for about £3.50 from a friend from school. I went and bought a new one, which was the black. I think they were called Sound Tank then. I think your brother's got something similar. And it was rubbish. It was absolutely terrible. It was made out of plastic, and it fell to bits. I don't even know what happened to it.
Yeah,
but it certainly never ever made one useful sound ever. But from that particular pedal, when I went to college, I ended up buying a few other pedals. I bought a Boss Hyperfuzz, which is also worth a load of money now, but I bought that for beans and sold that on. And I bought a Multi Effects, and they were almost always categorically rubbish. And I had a really, really amazing Kimbaru Japanese fuzz thing that also sounded awful. Again, worth nearly £1,000 now, I think, but at the time they were all just useless. So, and that was really my first foray into pedals. When I joined Rhesus in about 2002, Wayne was very much of the sort of straight into the amp distortion thing, which is great. So we both had valve amps. I had a PB Classic 50, and he had a JCM 900. He still has a JCM 900. What I would do is I'd literally just use the on-off distortion and normal clean channel that came with the amplifier, and that for me was enough at the time because I didn't really do anything else. Wayne would always have a bit of slapback echo, but he wasn't bothered what it was. So I think he had it coming out of a Zoom multi effects or something, but he just used the echo on it. But that wasn't where my pedal journey started. Where was when your pedal journey properly started?
I'm just trying to think that because, in fact, one of our friends, and Danny, messaged the other day and said that he remembered this weird story where he told me about all the different types of pedals you can get. I don't know if you saw that in our little group chat.
I did, yeah.
But I absolutely do not remember this. But I remember. But he said that he told me this is back in the 90s. That there was a pedal called a flange.
Yes.
And apparently, I found this very funny because I'm 12.
Yeah.
I refuse to believe that you would call a pedal that. And to be honest, I haven't really changed. Flange, we have to say to any sensitive viewers, is also is an engineering term for things that get squashed in between stuff as well. It isn't just.
And that's why it's called that.
And that is why it's called that.
Because it's a compression. Because it's the same as a chorus, and the chorus and a flange are allegedly pretty much the same thing. But I don't know the technicalities of it. So
we will find a guest one day and we will get on a deep dive on pedals. And we're going to find out how they work. We're going to, we'll take them to pieces, at least metaphorically speaking. We'll do deep dives. But the main thing, I think I had a flanger. I think I went down the, what's it called? I can't remember. I've had a few, but my main pedal board I've got now, and I've had it for years and years and years. And pedal boards, I had them all just on the floor, and then I got a pedal board a few years ago, about 6 years ago. And God, just get a pedal board. Yes. And it's your my brother, and then I can make you one, and then you can just not use it, obviously. But everyone else has one. I've got to get that digging. And I got an HT. Was it an HT1 Black Star Dual distortion amp? Because a lot of the tunes I play, amazing sound.
They've got valves in them, haven't they?
Yeah,
yeah.
They've got a little valve, and I have had that for 10 years, and it's not gone wrong.
Yeah,
he says.
As with all that Black Star stuff, you can literally chuck it out of a window and pour a can of beer over it, and it's absolutely fine.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of their amps, but because I had one and I got rid of it immediately for my trusty Vox AC30. But we'll do an amp day.
Where they're really good, the amps, is they're great pedal platforms. So if you want an absolutely flat, clean, loud sound with a lot of headroom, but they don't have a lot of their own tone. Okay. So they're a great, what I would describe as a pedal platform amp, but compared to an AC30, they're not an AC30.
No, they're not, and very few things are.
Yeah, exactly.
And I love an AC30. So, obviously from a new, if you're a new person to guitar, and you're just trying to get some info, then you can get these solid state amps. You've got amps that have got a Fender do a great range that have all got stuff built into them, and they've got delay and they've got reverb and they've got all sorts of things, and you can do tricks, and some of them are really quite technical, and they've got apps on the computer you can use to dial up setups, and you can do all that. Because I was an Edge fan and a U2 fan, I went down that road of having an amplifier, and then you plug your sound via pedals into it.
Yeah. Rather than having the built-in. The thing with the
built-in, and I prefer that.
I'm just going to remove this cat. Hold on, it's purring and it's picking it up on the microphone.
That's all right. We are friendly people. We're cat-friendly people on the three chords.
But he was getting them up. Yeah. Well, this is all the amps. Because I remember that for a while there were these things called Line 6 pods that everyone used to have. That terrible things. But and
we hate them.
Spider amps as well. Awful. But I've always been the same. I like to have my pedals absolutely separate to my amp, plugging into my amp, and that's 100%. Kind of like if I'm gigging, I don't really mind necessarily what amps I've got to play with, as long as I've got my pedal board there. So now I use I've got an Archer, which is a Klon clone going into a Greer Lightspeed. I'd really like to get Nick Greer on one day. I really would love to see whether he'll have a conversation with us. You never know.
Okay, you never know.
Because the Greer Lightspeed is an absolutely phenomenal bit of kit. It's kind of a transparent overdrive, they call it, and that's such a silly name.
Okay.
But it's a pedal that sounds great, and stacked with the Clone Archer, put them both together, you get a really good, decent rock tone.
Okay, because the Clones, I've never heard of them before until I started watching the Andertons videos, and they're thousands.
But they didn't used to be. They used
Why?
The guy who used to make them in his house, and he
Wow.
stopped making them. And the Clone Centaur, and it basically they do sound amazing, but they're a very simple circuit. So all of the clones of the clones are pretty much the same thing, and you can get a decent clone for about 60 or 70 quid.
It's not easy to say clone, is it? Yeah.
No,
okay. Yeah. I'm not going to say that 5 times.
Something which I've said so many times, I'm quite good at it. But the guy that makes the clone, who originally made the clone, now makes the clone KTR, which is a slightly cheaper version of pretty much the same thing.
Okay.
And he's got some comment on the front of it that said, "Please don't blame me for the hype on the other," or something like that. But anyway, they are a really good, what people describe as an always-on pedal. So a pedal that sets the tone of your sound. So I have my clone, which is a J Rocket Archer, as my always-on pedal. So I know wherever I am, I will plug into whatever amp, strum a G chord, and I will know from that kind of where I am, and I'll build the rest of my of my settings from there. So I keep it simple. I can bang on about this for ages, but yeah, I keep it simple. So I go Clon, Lightspeed. I'll then have something nasty. So I've got a Thorpe effects. Love to get Thorpe on one day as well. A Thorpe effects Field Marshal, which is a clone of a 90s pedal called a Big Cheese, which is a very, very, very powerful and dynamic fuzz pedal. So I use that. I've also got the Zander Effects American Geek pedal, which is basically loads of different big muffs in one pedal, and it's based on the Smashing Pumpkins album Siamese Dream, the song USA. So I use that, and that's my gain stages. So I've got always on, so it's kind of a little bit above clean. I've then got a bit more dirt, then I've got crazy dirt.
Okay.
And then I have I've got which we will talk about, I'm sure, in a minute. I've got and it's a fantastic thing. It's a Strymon Cloudburst.
Yes, I've seen it.
It's fabulous. And
they are.
What I use that for, it's a very great normal reverb. It is a good normal reverb, but it also has this wonderful thing, a setting number 3 that is basically, it turns everything into a synth orchestra.
Yeah, they're magic.
I will hit a D chord, sorry, an E chord, drop D in when I'm playing with the Escape Ghosts, and it just goes wah, and it goes up and up and up and up and up and up until I switch it on, and it's fantastic. That's all I use it for in that band. It's just this one swelling synth sound, which is fabulous.
They are amazing.
You're a big fan of Strymons. You've got Strymons as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I am. I mean, there are going to be people listening to this that are going to go, not again. But I am a Strymon fanboy, and the thing is, there's a really good reason for it. Is that they are unbelievable. They're very expensive, and I can understand people not wanting to fork out for them because they are hundreds of pounds. However, a lot of certainly in the UK, lots of the websites do, payment in 3, and you can do all sorts of different deals to make them accessible. I bought the Strymon Flint because I'm a John Mayer fan as well, and I got the Flint. The Flint is reverb turned up to 11,
right,
and it also does a tremolo effect as well. A really good tremolo. Yeah, I'm not really a tremolo guy, but it kind of came with it.
It's nice to have it there.
It is nice to have it there. It is, yeah.
And you've got some tremolo in your AC30 as well, have you, or have you not?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad tremolo in there because that's built in. But I mean, if you've got a Strymon tremolo and you want some tremolo, then flaming hell, use the Strymon one.
It's also more controllable as well.
Absolutely, but one day we'll do this with guitars plugged in, and we can do these effects. But
Demos of pedals, yes.
the Strymon, the Flint, you can turn there's sort of two levels. There's how much in the mix you can put and how much reverb you can get. And if you turn them up to full, it's unbelievable. It's almost impossible to it's almost impossible to understand unless you dial it in yourself and hear it. But the notes go on forever and ever and ever, and you can play just one note and it'll just go on for months, and then you can play another note, and you can do really, really simple things with it to create tunes and sounds. It's just a whole sculpting a sound with this pedal. It is ridiculous.
I'll have to have a go with one at some point, most definitely.
Next time you're over, yeah.
I bought the Cloudburst based on the Danish Pete.
Yes. Well, they've got both. Video. Danish Pete's got both. He's got a Cloudburst and a Flint because he can afford them.
Yeah, much. It does. I saw that video. He plays Somewhere Over a Rainbow with it, and it's just like, whoa.
Yeah. I mean, they've joked in the past. It is difficult to not justify having a whole pedal board of Strymons because
it is amazing. I'd be very interested to try some of their distortions and some of their dirts, actually.
I know. Well, funnily enough, my Black Star it's I don't know, it's got a little bit strange recently, and I don't know, I might at some point replace it with any excuse to replace it with the Strymon, because the Strymon also do a dual. I need dual distortion pedals.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
Because loads of the songs I do, whether it's Edge or Satch or anything I might do myself, you need to change the two. So from that point of view, they're very cool. The other pedal I've had two that I've had not gas for, but pedal acquisition syndrome for, was my TC2290, which I just bought from Anderton's.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing that Edge had, and they've now put the Edge's original TC rack-mounted system into the pedal, and it's oh my god, it's absolutely amazing. And the other one that I coveted was actually my brother's ZVEX pedal. He had a dual distortion thing, and that was just evil.
The J Mascis double rock.
I think so. It was like a little silver pedal, and they do all their sort of hand painted stuff on the outside.
Yeah, they're amazing. The only negative with those, they're very noisy for live stuff. But they are. I had the Box of Rock, which was the model down from that.
Okay.
And the double rock J Mascis thing is nuts. It's so much power. It's ridiculous.
It really was. That thing was. It was blown away because it had like a light distortion, then it had like a big distortion, and you could turn that up to 11. And the noise this thing made, it was like Cracker Tower was going off somewhere.
Yeah, it is. They are.
And he sold it. Unfortunately, I couldn't afford to buy it at the time, but one day maybe. But
they come up second. The other thing with anything like this is, and this with pedals, if you buy them second hand, it's the same as money in the bank. You don't end up losing anything on them. I mean,
no.
I buy and sell pedals almost as often as I buy and sell guitars, and I've got some really interesting bits and bobs. Just reaching down here to get what my all-time favourite pedal is the Boss Wazza Blues Driver.
Okay.
Now this thing, how I came about it, I was recording it at Bear Bites Horse Studios, also a company that have their own pedal. Here's one I made earlier, which is the Bear Bites Horse.
Oh, I've seen pictures of that.
This is a for a start, the eyes light up on the horse and the bear, which is fantastic. What it is it's basically it's a Sun O life pedal, but just the bit you need. Really useful thing. Anyway, so I was recording with this guy, and I brought a bass distortion pedal with me.
Okay.
And he said, with all the respect, you're not using that. I said, I thought that was the best bass distortion pedal. And he went, no. Best bass distortion pedal in the world is the Boss Blues Driver. And I thought, what?
Oh.
And I tried it, and you know what? He was right. Yeah. So I went out and bought one the next day. If I'm ever going anywhere where I'm playing and I don't want to take my whole rig, or I don't want to do this, or I don't want to do that, or this thing does it all. It's got the normal mode, which is the S mode standard.
Yeah.
Is a standard blues driver, which is a fabulous, very, very useful thing. But the custom mode is amazing. It's almost like it's doubled up, but it's just the most useful distortion pedal you can get. And these things, again, with it being Boss, you can play a game of cricket with it, and it'd be absolutely fine. So it's one of those. I lent it to a guitarist in one of the bands I was playing in. She's just sent it back to me. I got it back yesterday.
Right.
And I've got loads of flash and fancy pedals, and we can talk about them all day. We will another time. There is probably nothing that is as useful straight off the bat as this. This will do if you want to go from clean to rock dirty or clean to blues.
This thing does the thing.
Except no substitute. Absolutely superb. Anyway, we weren't going to go into detail today, but that was...
We can go into a bit of detail, that's fine. I mean, we it's fine. The thing I was going to say is that obviously we've been talking, and we do tend to talk about high-level stuff quite a lot. There's expensive guitars and expensive amps and expensive pedals. However, obviously, some people watching may not have the budget for that. It might be students. It might be people just getting into guitar for the first time. And we are, I would say, full disclosure, we are not sponsored at the moment by anybody. We're not being paid by anybody to say anything about. These are just our experiences of life and just going through life being guitar players. And I think the Behringer do really, really well. And they're like 14 quid. Yeah. And they're unbelievable.
The only negative with the Behringer stuff is it's not particularly hard wearing if you stand on it too hard.
It isn't. But don't stand on it and you're fine.
Yeah, the sound, I had one of their orange fuzz things. It sounded exactly the same as a Boss Hyperfuzz, and a Boss Hyperfuzz is 400 quid for an old one, and this was it was $17.99.
Yeah,
it was absolutely fine. But
I've got I bought a reverb in it because it had this weird space effect on it. The reverb on it was sort of okay. Not bad at all compared to, if you're new or you've got a son who's new and you want to get him something and you've got some cheap little Fender amp, get one of these and you want a cheap reverb for 14 quid, plug a Behringer in, you're going to get some really nice reverb out of it. But it had this space thing and it gives you this weird ethereal sort of space sound. Which
shimmery. Was it shimmer?
It was a sort of a shimmer, yeah. And I think Edge uses it on some of his tunes. I thought, well, for 14 quid or whatever it was, I'm going to get this effect and it'll play this. It's almost like a really weird shimmery sort of chorus kind of thing, and they're a really good way to get into pedals. And obviously we keep mentioning Andertons, but they do big pedal comparisons, which because they've got a guitar shop and it's not what we're going to do. So Andertons have done a really good one about all these pedals, and the Behringers usually come second or third in the list against Strymons and stuff. They're amazing.
They cost zillions per pop. No, I've got another one. I went through a phase whenever my wife would say to me, "What do you want for your birthday or for Christmas?" I would always say a pedal, and anything that she buys me, I will never sell.
Yeah,
I do have some keepers pedal wise, and one of them is this, which is a Mr. Black Blood Moon. Now this is
never heard of it.
That's just unbelievable, but again, it's one of those. It's in it. Jumping around a bit with pedals. It's money in the bank. If you buy them secondhand from a decent pedal salesperson, I deal with a guy called Callum at CWJ Pedals, really lovely guy. He will always pay a fair price cash if I need cash. He'll always do a decent price trade-in for them. It's their currency, you don't as long as if you're buying them new, expect to lose 40%.
Yeah.
If you buy them secondhand, they're designed to be stood on.
Yeah.
They're solid. Unless you're
they are solid.
Smelling nice and being shiny, buy a second-hand one.
Yeah, they are designed to be trodden on. So they're built very strong.
About 30 pedals at the moment, if I'm good.
My word!
And
maybe
probably about 30 if I count the ones that other people have got.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons why we wanted to do pedals today was because I'm a big fan of the sentiment that actually Edge said years ago, where he said, you can buy these units which do everything. And he said the trouble with those is, with line 6 pods, and there's also some very expensive things that do the same
helixes thing. And all that kind of stuff.
And I've got a friend of mine who's got one. He said, it's amazing. But what Edge said, and generally this is true, he said these things will do one thing reasonably well and a dozen things not very well. It's much more fun. At least I think we think.
Agree.
is to create whatever sound you want. Now, you might want to sound like Clapton. You won't want to make your own sound. You might want to sound like Gilmour or The Edge or Knotfield or whoever it is. But you can build your own sound with the pedals, and you can buy them, and you can go and then you just add them in. There is, however, rules and regulations a little bit in how they get plugged together, and we'll probably do a video on that one day. That's deep dive stuff.
Discussion to be had on that as well.
Absolutely. But I've recently changed my setup because I discovered from a friend of ours that they said, yeah, that's totally in the wrong order, and was like, and it does make a difference. But we will do a pedal deep dive, and we'll go into what things should be plugged in where.
Today was definitely high. Well, and I'm the same. I'm very much. The thing is guitar acquisition syndrome. You can change the G to being gear and be a gear acquisition syndrome, because it's true. You can with pedals. You can't afford to buy a new guitar every month. Or every couple of months, but you could probably find 50 quid to buy a second-hand pedal.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you in people say, oh yeah, they don't make you play better. That's not true. They do. They inspire you to do more stuff and to play more. So that in essence, they do make you.
I think they do. There was a great video I've seen of someone had videoed John Mayer at a club, and not club, but some sort of indoor venue, and he was sat with an amp and his pedals just on his own doing the John Mayer things. I love him and he's a genius. But he said, guitar players, we just want more pedals. That's all we want. And he said, it's just an excuse not to practice, which he sort of would sort of hear him, but not also I agree with you, because you can use them to do things and they can inspire you to write new things.
It keeps you interested. It's like, oh, I've got this, I'm going to...
It does, yeah, absolutely. And, he said, I'll go and get a new pedal and it'll inspire me to write the song so that I can afford to buy another pedal.
People buy his music, they don't buy mine.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, they buy his music, and so great, I can buy more pedals because people have just released a single, so that's quite handy. But I think lots of people use them. Satriani's got a decent, pedal board setup. Edge is probably the most famous pedal user in that, his whole sound is, he created
certainly with the delay side of things.
Absolutely, yeah. And there's a great YouTube video of Dallas Shue going through all his kit, which is, I'm Edge is God as far as I'm concerned, and I will stop going on about him at some point. It's such an amazing sound, and I think, and he gets really anal about them, really anal. And seemingly Eric Johnson did as well. He would just like down to changing different batteries, producing slightly different voltages and different sound, and you're like, yeah.
This is where I wanted to sort of end today before we can go on to the next bit on is the world of fuzz pedals. Now, fuzz is an instrument unto itself, and you can go on forever. Obviously, Jimi Hendrix was the first sort of real user of fuzz, or was he? Or was Keith Richards using his Gibson Maestro for satisfaction? Was that the first use of fuzz that anyone heard? Was it the Kinks all day and all of the night? Was it? It was certainly around that kind of era, and you've got this wonderful. It's an instrument unto itself, made of loads of different components that is driven by different stuff, and you can get a million different sounds. I mean, I've got there's a guy called Charlie. I only know him as Charlie Pedals because that's the name of his company, and he's doing one of my guitar shows in which you've got to come over for at some point, one of these. And he's doing, and he builds replicas of the fuzz face. So that's a 2-knob fuzz. And their battery. They're not plug-in, they're battery, and they're battery only. And what we were saying before about, was it Eric Johnson? Who was it?
Yeah, Eric Johnson's a big,
about the different batteries. Is that they will also, the people, as your battery wears down, your fuzz will sound different.
Yeah.
And people actually want batteries that are half worn to play through their fuzz pedal to create the level of fuzz stuff you can go on about with fuzz is ridiculous.
I didn't know that because I've not got one, and I'm not really into them myself.
Well, I tell you what, I'll send you one so you can have a play. Yeah.
Okay.
I've got plenty of them. I'll send you. I'll send you a Charlie Fuzzhead for, but the one of those for, and I'll pop it in the post on Monday so you can have it for Tuesday. And
awesome.
And have a go, and because It's
Thank
a
you.
whole different world. And if you think the Edge was a massive, oddly enough, you say the Edge, I'm pretty sure the Edge used one of those big cheese pedals that I've got the clone of for the Thorpe pedal. I think he was one of the first proponents.
He did, yeah. I think he did use. He has got a fuzz pedal, and I can't
Yeah,
remember.
it is the big, because I remember when Thorpe made, because we can get Thorpe on. He's a lovely guy, Thorpe.
Okay,
He's a huge man and a
because
huge personality. Now I've briefly mentioned him before. Again, I could go on for ages about Thorpe. Now, he did one of my shows for us. He's an absolute legend in the world of pedals. He designed a Danish Pete, the Dane, for him.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so he basically made the Dane.
Oh wow! Okay.
He used to be a bomb disposal expert. And that's how he got into
Career change or what?
So all of the pedals are named after military stuff. So if you haven't checked it out, check him out. You've got the Field Marshal's the one that I've got.
Will do.
The Dane was obviously named after Pete, but it's got the Viking helmet on and all that kind of stuff.
Naturally.
The quality of the stuff that Thorpe kicks out is unbelievable. I didn't quite know where I was going with this. So basically, Thorpe is great. Also, my friend Tim, who has Frederick Effects, great fuzz, really incredible. But it's a whole world. So I think what I do with this one, I send you one, and you have a couple of days play with it. Then we'll
mess around. That'd be cool.
That would be a podcast in itself. Someone who's new to fuzz, having fuzz.
We will do that. That sounds like a plan.
Yeah, let's make.
I do like that.
This has been a very general one, but let's do that. I'll send it over to you.
And I remember
because I don't. Yeah, literally, just give me a nudge, and I'll put it, because I've got a.
Thank you,
Toby, who, changing direction gently, who is a member of our Guitar Nerds group, he is buying an amazing Les Paul Junior replica that I got from the guy Justin from Pedalboards of Doom.
Okay.
And I've got to send that to him on Monday. So I'm going to the post on Monday, on tomorrow, in fact. So I'm going to the post office tomorrow, so I can.
Awesome.
I could flip your address. I'll send it over, and then we can have a conversation.
I will definitely do that. I was just going to quickly divert back, because I remember you said the Kinks before had fuzz. Now, what I remember is, I think it was the Kinks guitar player.
Yes,
he slashed the back of his.
It absolutely
comb,
did, right?
And it made that noise.
Was it Dave Davis? Absolutely. And
I think it was Dave Davis. Yeah,
use it,
and they used it.
Yeah, and they kind of made the sound that was then replicated by these pedals. I'm pretty sure
it was definitely the Kinks.
It was definitely the Kinks, 100%.
I don't remember exactly who it was, but it was definitely the Kinks, and I remember,
I'm pretty sure it was Ray Davis. So I recorded in his studio a couple of years ago. That was
amazing. You? Oh, you did, yeah.
Most amazing place I've ever recorded.
Really? So what was that like?
It was unbelievable. It was Conch Studios. We were working with a producer called Adrian Hall, who's also is going to appear on our podcast.
Oh, good.
Who's one of the greatest producers in the UK.
Oh, wow, that's quite an accolade.
Working with Adrian in that studio was just like nothing else.
That sounds like fun.
One of those things is occasionally you turn up to the studio with your own ideas. With that one, you don't.
He does it. Yeah.
You tell me what to do. Yeah. I will learn as much as I can. So,
and just as a quick side shoot, I've done studio work. I don't like it, but obviously you guys do, and you love it.
Honestly, so many different experiences. I mean, I have had some wonderful studio experiences and some really bad ones.
Right. Yeah. So I mean,
the best studio experience to have is if you've written a song with your band. It's a fairly new song, so you don't know it that well, but you know it well enough to play it, but you haven't got a lot of ideas. You just go in there and record it. And if it's a decent studio, like Bear Bites Horse, as I was talking about before, it's so much fun. But if it's not, and the person doesn't really know what they're doing, and the setup doesn't work, and you've got to get there and you spend 6 hours going ding, 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 it's boring.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of sitting about.
Yeah.
Waiting to do your bit. And also studios eat time.
And money.
And money. Absolutely. Well, this is why I was talking to someone about this yesterday. When you agree to go to a studio, again, we're going a little off topic probably now, always agree a price for the finished product, not a price per hour.
Definitely.
So there you go. Anyway, I
Yeah.
could go on about the French.
Yeah.
I'll let you. We'll gently wrap up now because I
Absolutely.
sadly have to go and do some other non-guitar related stuff. Like
You have to go and do grown-up things.
I'd like
Yeah.
to get on with it.
We have to do adulting occasionally. Yeah. It's very boring.
Yes, absolutely.
Because talking about guitars is the best.
It is indeed, and we will continue to do. And I really hope that you can see us.
Yes, we hope so. We're going to try and get this out. If it doesn't go out, then we'll get video next week.
Well, this is what we'll do. This will probably for the first round around the video stuff. We'll go to our group of people first of all. They can have a check and we can go from there.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we're very, very new. Obviously, the first few podcasts we've had some pretty terrible sound, and it will gradually get better. We are getting advice. We're getting, we're not technophobes. We're not. We need to get sort of a little bit more clear up.
I managed to get this set up. But
it was sort of fairly easy, and to be honest, for a small outlay, it is absolutely it's worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the whole shebang, obviously not including the computer, was 83 quid. Microphone, headphones, the thingy, the Voca, the box that's plugged into my kit, and it works.
It does, yeah.
It works. Oh my
God. So absolutely. Just plugged it in. I mean, my previous one I had was a condenser mic, but it was a MIDI controller, and you had to have a separate Scarlett interface box, and it was you've got to sync everything, and it's this is just plug and play, USB, go, all good. Yeah. So hopefully
I've got a little bag on my TV, and I put everything into the bag, and whenever it comes to podcast time, I can just pull it out, put it all together, and off we go. So.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So I've got an arm, I've got the whole. It looks very pro. I think it's certainly a lot better than just talking into a phone like an imbecile. Yeah. Anyway, if you like the Three Chords podcast, please give us a like, subscribe. Please comment in the comment section below. We want to hear what you want to say.
We don't want to hear that we haven't gone into any detail about pedals. We know that. This wasn't about that.
We know that.
Brief chat about pedals. So
if you've got,
we'll go into detail about pedals, but not today.
If you've got favourite pedals, or if you've got your favourite pedals that you love, give us a shout. We might be able to get hold of one, give it a try.
Yeah.
Tell us that you hate Strymon. We're all good. We're all grown up boys. We can take it. I mean, we'll never talk to you again if you do that. But obviously, it's fine. I'm joking. So we can wrap it up there, and we will see you next week. So bye bye from me,
and bye bye from me. Take it easy.
Bye.